That's a V-Carve inlay. No gaps, no glue halo, edges are crisp, surfaces flush. And if yours doesn't look like that, it's not your machine, it's your workflow. Today I'm going to walk you through all 8 steps in order so you get the results that you want every single time. I've been doing V-Carve inlays for a while now, and the question I get most often is, why do my inlays have a gap? Or why is the glue halo around the edges? 9 times out of 10, it's not one big mistake. It's a series of small mistakes that compound things. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through every step of the process, from Toolpath setup all the way through final sanding. If you follow this in order, you'll get a clean, tight, professional inlay every time. Step 1 is where most problems actually start, in the software, before you ever touch your machine. First, you need to know your bit's actual geometry. Many companies provide a tool database for their products, or at least necessary tool information in their sales listings. Whether you're using a V-bit or a tapered ball nose, confirm the angle before you set up your toolpath. That number drives everything. It's important to note that depending on how you intend to do the inlay, the bit may be configured differently for you. If, for example, you're doing a V-Carve inlay using the V-Carve toolpath, you can use an engraving bit, tapered ball nose bit, or V-bit to perform the toolpath. If you're using the new V-Carve inlay toolpath, however, you can only use bits configured as V-bits. I've left a link in the video description that shows how to properly configure your bits as a V-bit for the V-Carve inlay toolpath. For pocket depth, I use 6mm or 0.236 inches. That gives you enough depth for good deep inlays without making the pocket walls fragile. Now here's the one setting most people get wrong: the plug depth. Your plug needs to be 1 to 1.5mm or 0.039 to 0.059 inches deeper than your pocket. That's what gives you the material to sand flush later, or basically your top gap or surface gap. If they're the same depth, you have no margin for error, and you could damage your inlay. I test my bits to determine the best way to determine the proper length of the plug. I've attached a video in the description that shows you how I test. In both toolpaths, the plug and the pocket need to use the exact same Z0 reference. If they don't, your plug won't seat correctly, and no amount of clamping pressure is going to fix that. I zero off the top of the workpiece for both the pocket and the plug. Before you send anything to the machine, run a simulation. You're looking for undercuts or any geometry conflicts. Catch those in the software, not in the wood. Step 2 is material prep. It's shorter than people think, but skipping it causes problems later. If either board needs flattening, do it now. You want both surfaces consistent. Any twist or high spot in your material is going to show up in the final fit. Pay attention to grain direction, especially if you're doing face grain inlays. Grain that changes direction unpredictably can cause tear out during the cut. Secure your material firmly. Any vibration or chattering during the cut leaves marks on your pocket. And mark your consistent XY 0 point on both pieces, your plug blank and your pocket blank, before either one goes on the machine. You want zero ambiguity when you're setting up each cut. Step 3, cut the plug first. I always do the plug before the pocket, and here's why. If something goes wrong with the plug, you haven't cut into your good workpiece yet. Use the same Z0 method you used when you set up the toolpath in the software. That consistency is everything. Leave the plug proud by 1 to 1.5mm or 0.039 to 0.059 inches. That's your sanding margin. Don't try to cut it flush off the machine. When the cut is done, inspect the outer boundary of the plug. It should be clean and solid, not fragile or thin on any of the edges. If it's fragile, something is off on your toolpath. Fix it now, not after the glue up. And if you can, do a dry fit. Don't just force it. A plug needs to be forced into the pocket. It's going to cause problems, either cracking the plug or distorting the pocket walls. Now you cut the pocket. Use conservative feed and plunge rates here. This isn't the place to push your machine. Aggressive cuts cause chip out on the pocket walls, and that's hard to fix. If you're cutting a deep pocket, vacuum and brush between passes. Chip buildup in the pocket can deflect the bit and leave marks on the walls. When the cut is done, take a close look at the pocket walls. They should be smooth, crisp, and completely fuzz-free. Use an X-Acto knife to remove any fuzz that may interfere with your glue joints. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like, and hype the video. I put out CNC and laser content regularly, and there's a lot more where this came from. Now let's talk about the glue up. The glue up is where a lot of inlays go wrong, and it almost always comes down to using too much glue. Apply a thin, even layer. You're not trying to fill the pocket, you're just trying to create a solid bond between the plug walls and the pocket walls. Puddles of glue can create halos and make cleanup much harder. Make sure the pocket is completely clean before you glue it in. No fuzz, no dust, no chips. Anything in there is going to show in the finished piece. Seat the plug with an even moderate pressure. Cauls, those flat clamping boards, or in my case, a hydraulic press, can help distribute the pressure evenly across the surface so you don't get a tipped or skewed plug. When you squeeze out, wipe away promptly, but carefully. Don't flood it, you just want to remove the excess without pushing the glue into the surrounding grain. Step 6 is the one that requires the most patience, and it's also the one people rush the most often. Let the glue cure fully. Read the label on your glue. I know it's tempting to pull the clamps after an hour, but a full cure gives you a much stronger bond and makes the sanding steps easier. Once the clamps are off, trim any excess plug material if needed before you start sanding, looking to get the plug closer to flush, but don't try to sand it yet. Just remove the bulk of the plug, then inspect the seating before you do anything else. Look at the joint from every angle. If you see any areas where the plug didn't fully seat, any visible gaff or lip, now is the time to address it before you sand through your plug and try to fix it later. Now you can sand. If you have a drum sander, I recommend running your project through at 80 to 120 grit. Start palm sanding at 120 to 150 grit. I know that sounds coarser than you'd expect at this stage, but starting too fine when you still have plug material proud of the surface just loads up your sandpaper and puts heat on the joint. Coarser grit cuts more efficiently and gives you a better control. Increase your sanding after that to at least 100 or 320 grit. Sand until the plug is perfectly flush with the surrounding surface. Check it with a straight edge or just run your hand across it. You'll feel any high spots. After you've finished working through your grits, apply your oil and or board butter to your finish. Once the finish is on, take a close look at the edges of your inlay. That's where you'll see the pocket walls were clean and if your plug seated properly. You want a crisp, sharp edge and strong color contrast between the inlay and the background material. The last step is the quality check, and this is the one you do with your eyes and your hands before the piece ever leaves your bench. You're looking for 6 things. No visible gaps between the plug or pocket walls. No glue halos around the perimeter of the inlay. Clean, sharp edges. The boundary between the plug and pocket should look like a crisp line. Smooth transitions. No ridges, no step where the plug meets the surface at all. Strong color contrast. If you chose your wood species correctly, this should pop. And an even surface sheen. The inlay and the surrounding wood should have the same finish level. If all of these 6 boxes are checked, you've got a professional quality inlay. 8 steps. That's the whole workflow, from your first Toolpath setting all the way through the final quality check. None of these steps are complicated on their own. The key is doing all of them in order every time. If you want to go deeper on any one of these steps, Toolpath setup, glue up, finishing, let me know in the comments and I'll put together a dedicated video. If this was helpful, hit the like button. It helps the channel a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.